Hello everybody and welcome to a very special bonus episode of Pangolin, the conservation podcast. I'm your host, Jack Baker, same as always, but unlike always, today I have a very special treat for you. A few weeks ago, I was invited to take part in a live stream with the North American Association for Environmental Education, the NAAEE, and they gave me permission to share the audio of that call with you. So in this special bonus episode, I sit down with Nina Hamilton from NAAEE and Anthony Ochieng from Tony Wild to discuss environmental education. It's really brilliant because the conversation revolves a lot around kind of wildlife photography and podcasting and how we kind of bring these skills, how we use these skills to educate people, but also how we bring these skills to new people and allow them to express themselves using them. So it's really kind of this like double-barreled, interesting thing. I really love it. Anthony is a wonderful photographer, so we talk about that, we talk about technology, we talk about how we can use it to act for wildlife, and how we found our way into this kind of pathway of environmental education in the first place, and why it matters to us, and why we love it, and why it's brilliant and wonderful and the best thing in the world to be doing, because we love it. And yes, I should also say that the reason that we got to do this is that we are both members of the North American Association for Environmental Education's 30 Under 30 program, which celebrates amazing young people doing amazing things in the environmental education space. And this year, the nominations for that kind of award and scheme are still open. So if you know anybody who's doing really interesting things, whether it be podcasting, photography, community work, art, whatever it is, and you think they deserve to be highlighted and you want to put them on a pedestal and a platform, you can still nominate them. The nominations are open till March 25th. I'll put a link in the description of this episode to the kind of form that you'd have to fill in to nominate them. And you should definitely go and do that because it's what allowed me not just to meet Anthony and all these other amazing people, Ray, who was on the show a few weeks ago, and all sorts of other guests that we've had on, Rex from a few episodes ago, back in the Africa series, all sorts of amazing people. It also has helped me to spread my message to more people. It's allowed me to run podcasting workshops with more people. It's allowed me to go to Tucson. It's allowed me to have so many opportunities that I wouldn't have had without it. So really do consider nominating people if you do have someone in mind who's amazing. Like, go and do it. Celebrate the people in your life who deserve celebrating. I guess I hope you enjoy this. I know I loved the conversation. I am sure you will too. I will put links to everything we discuss in the description as always. You can follow us at Pangolin Podcast on everything as always. I hope you enjoy this little special extra treat that we have for you today. But having said all of that, I will now let that special extra treat play. So I hope you enjoy, and let's get started.
Thank you, Nina, so much for joining us, for having organized this, and it's always a pleasure. So let's see. Hi, Jack. How have you been?
I'm good. I am good. I am excited to be here. I am very aware that we've had to get Nina out of bed probably very early to get ready, and I'm like cruising towards the end of my day here in Scotland. So I'm good. I'm really good. What about yourself?
Pretty much fine. Today I was actually diving down in Duana Bay, just trying to see the beauty of the marine life, and it's pretty much a new experience for me. And just to use photography to bring out the beauty about the oceans as a whole. I know you do podcasts and stuff, which is a different kind of art. Are you okay sharing just more about that?
Yeah, I guess that's a good place to start. So, Hello everyone who's watching. My name is Jack Baker, and yes, I run Pangolin, the conservation podcast, which is a show that kind of highlights and tries to appreciate underappreciated conservation stories, whether that be bizarre, weird, wonderful species. So we've talked about types of invertebrates and birds, and one of my favourite episodes last season was about hornbills, but also we talk about unusual conservation projects as well, so things that don't get enough attention. So just to keep it on theme with the NAAEE, I've had guests come on and talk about environmental education projects that they're working on. I had recently, or in the last season, sorry, Rex Malapo came on, who's one of the 30 under 30, and talked about her project, Conservation Music, and how music is used to promote conservation. So yeah, the show is all about celebrating these underappreciated stories, and trying to get them to a bigger platform and to more people and to more ears that everyone can enjoy them. And so that's what I do. And yeah, I guess recently I have just started the 6th season of the podcast, which seems very, very, very strange to me that we've come this far, but it's so exciting. I think we're on episode, well, I think all in there's like 130 episodes, but we've also got all sorts of other things going on, so little bonus things, and yeah, so it's great. That's kind of me. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, I can see that there's a wheel spinning on your face, which means I can't tell if it's me who's lost Wi-Fi or you. Oh, okay. Tony, are you gone? Anthony, are you gone?
Looks like we did lose him. Oh no.
That's okay. Hopefully
that's how it happens.
That's okay. Hopefully he can join back in. I guess while we wait, something I should say, the first episode of this season, just to do some more self-promo for me, while we were kind of waiting for him to come back, is with another member of the 30 under 30 family, Ray Landrew, and we talk about her colouring for conservation books. So all sorts of interesting stuff on the podcast as well. So that's kind of, yeah, what I've been up to in terms of my podcast. I don't know, Nina, do you have any questions or things to keep that you were wanting to ask based on that while we wait for Anthony to come back?
Yeah, I was hoping to step back on this, but I'm happy to. Yeah, always happy to chat with you, Jack. Mm-hmm. Did you share like how long you've been doing this podcast for, or kind of how you started? I think you've told me this before, and it's the fun story of kind of how you even started with it.
Yeah, well, so this is the thing. Like, I started during my masters. So when I was doing my masters, I had a lot of friends there who basically, if you can't tell, given our excellent ability to cope with Tony dropping out of the call, I love to talk, and I can talk for hours and hours and hours about everything or anything. And I also have a dangerously curious mind. I feel like I'm always opening Pandora's jar and asking all kinds of questions that I'm like, oh, like, I want to ask about this, or I want to talk about that, or I want to do this thing, and just talk about it all. And around my masters, I think people started to notice that. And at the same time, a good thing that kind of came my way was my dissertation project could either have been a written thousands and thousands of word report, or I think they called it a creative portfolio. So it could be anything from a film to a kind of podcast or whatever. And so I thought I'd make a film, which, if you know the podcast, is not a film, because it's going to go to... I thought I'd make a film. And then it was in 2020 and the pandemic happened and all of the filming that was planned had to be shut down. And so I had to adapt it and got all of my interviewees and stuff, thankfully, to agree to audio interviews and on Zoom and stuff. And yeah, we made it into this like 6-episode podcast series named after the pangolin. Because originally, I should also say, the whole show was based on this one scaly, wonderful creature. But then, of course, it grew arms and legs because I realised that the pangolin, I think, is this perfect representation of underrepresented things. These 6 episodes were designed because the person I was working with in St Andrews was kind of talking about a lot about how they had a PR problem. Even though they're the most trafficked mammal in the world, people don't know about them. And I realised, like, after doing those 6 and putting them out there, that like there are so many other creatures that fall under that banner, that like, or projects that fall under that banner, that like they're amazing and they're wonderful and they are so fantastic and interesting and need our protection or need our help, but they don't get the love and the attention they deserve. for whatever reason that may be. So yes, since I think it's 2020, it's grown arms and legs and all sorts of things. And now we are here talking about, as I say, everything from hornbills to giraffes and their kind of story and all sorts of things. Oh, Anthony's back. Perfect timing. I was getting to the end of my story. So...
Sorry, guys. I just lost network on my location, so I had to look for it.
That's okay.
No problem.
You found it outdoors. What a perfect place to do...
I'm going to climb a tree somewhere so I can just get the network.
Of course, it's going to happen. When you do something live, never going to run smooth.
Yeah.
Never going to run smooth. So I was just telling everyone a little bit about how I got started with the podcast and what we do and how it kind of came to be. I don't know if once you're in position and happy, you want to share a little bit about how you got into what you do and tell us a little bit about that. That might be a good place to start.
Yeah, so sorry guys, I had to drop off a bit, but what I basically do is conservation photography. So it's a form of photography that uses both journalistic style impact to just educate about nature and conservation stuff. But the beauty about what I do is that initially when I started off, there were very few people of color in the space, and I felt there was a bit of it's access to this particular equipment. Cameras are very expensive. So one of the things we do with organizations I founded, Tony Wild Foundation, is to be able to get these cameras down to young people so they're able to actually have a feel. If you're a photographer, you can imagine holding your first camera. How do you feel? Like it's an investment of a lifetime, and being able to use it to share knowledge actually makes it much more interesting. I know people know me as Tony Wild, but Tony Wild was more of like a business mimic name, just to get people exciting. Like if you ask me why Tony Wild, I'll basically tell you it's because I was afraid of using my own name to put it out there. So I had to look for a proxy name. So nobody knew Tony Wild is a black person, white person. There was no race attached to it, or there's no identification attached to it. So anybody will relate with it because of the good, amazing images that we produce. And that's how it came into to be. But I think it's just to be able to amplify the voice of other people through photography, either using a phone, a camera, and the whole idea was just to push to make environmental education accessible to each and every person beyond their careers, beyond their types of life. But images play a very key important role. Like it's accessible. It's anyone else can be able to use it. So that's how I came to be. And it's so far been an awesome journey, being a member of NAAEE 30 under 30. That was like, I'm pretty sure way years back. I'm getting more older. But the journey has really been interesting so far. Yeah. Even when we met at Tucson, for me it was just like being in that space was just like a dream come true, where I can see what EE actually can do from the games, from the innovative ideas that were being presented. Like it was so much. But then we have to admit it's not really easy to implement EE programs just beyond our reach. You use podcasts, I use images. We just play around with them to figure out how it works. Yeah. So it's not that really easy. Yeah.
No, I think that's the thing. Like, I think what's always nice, and what was nice about that conference especially, was like it was one of the first times, I think, since the pandemic, I think I was so used to doing podcasts, sat in my bedroom at home by myself, talking to somebody online, editing things all by myself, doing things all by myself, and seeing everybody's thing, like concepts and stuff, and hearing all of these stories in person, and like being able to stand in front of a crowd and talk about things in person again. It was so inspiring and so good to kind of feel that. And I think there was so much there that I was like, that kind of, yeah, I was really inspired by what you were saying and kind of interested in the crossover, I guess, because we both use technology.
Yes.
We just use it in very different ways. And I think what's interesting is obviously you're providing these skills of like photography, and it's something that I've moved into doing more. I've realized that like, I feel like I devalue myself every time I say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Podcasting is not that tricky, right? It's like all I need is a microphone and somebody to talk to, and that's as simple as it gets, right? And like it's fairly easy. And so what I've been trying to do now is kind of open that up to more people. And like last year, for example, I was invited to speak at the British Trust for Ornithology, who run like an event for young people, young conservationists. And I was there talking about communicating conservation and trying to pass these skills on. Because like, yeah, the more voices we can have and the more perspectives we can have in the conservation space, it only makes it better, and it only makes the whole movement more powerful and more inspiring and more, you know, so I think that's, yeah, a big part of what I do now, I guess, is trying to like, yeah, not just, here's my episodes of the podcast, which highlight people I love. Now you go and do your podcast, or you go and do your project, or you go and do your thing, and also kind of, yeah, find your voice and spread your voice. I think it's so important as well.
Mm-hmm. But I have to say you do it so well. I think it's one of the podcasts I jump in to listen with, and I think one of the times you've talked about why you call it the Pangolin Project, the Pangolin Podcast, which I'm pretty sure you might know why the Pangolin Project. I've shared that when I was away, or will you mind sharing more about that?
So we talked a little bit about it while we were waiting for you to come back. But yeah, I named it, for anyone who's just joined the live, I named it after this animal that like people don't know enough about, but should. And that's the whole, and I haven't changed the name because the first 6 episodes were all about the pangolin, and I haven't changed the name because what animal better represents that, right? It's the most trafficked mammal in the world. Yet if you show a picture of it to most people, they probably don't know what it is. I remember when I first started the show, people being like, is it a reptile? Is it like, what is this thing? Like, what is this weird creature? Yeah, I have to say actually, an exciting thing since Tucson, when we kind of chatted, is I've not been able to go to Africa or any of the countries in which they exist in Africa or Asia, but I was able to go to Prague Zoo last year and see one in real life for the first time, and it was like, I think, like, now I'm like, I'm so glad I named and did all this in your name, because you are the most charming, most important thing. And I don't know, do you ever have those moments where you're reminded of like, this is exactly why I do this? Because I love you, little strange, creepy, wonderful, strange, bizarre, but charming, but charismatic, scaly thing. I love you so much. So like, I don't know, do you ever have those moments where you're like, you've seen something or been reminded of why you do what you do?
Yes, definitely. The things that happen, and just before I go to like things that make me feel like keep doing what I do, is you've seen a pangolin in life. I've not seen any. I've been trying to look for them for a couple of years. I meet people who've seen them before, but I've never seen them because I need to like take images of a pangolin and actually share it out. So not everyone actually in Africa has been able to see a pangolin.
Yeah.
Trust me. Even those who are living close to them. I've seen tracks of them. I've seen rangers protecting the pangolin themselves, or doing trainings on how to identify pangolin burrows and where they stay, and actually protecting them. But I've never just had a chance to meet the pangolin. So you having the Pangolin podcast just makes it more interesting all over. But yeah, but for instance, especially for my work, when I meet people say, yo, you have amazing images of body of work, and it just doesn't cut across just one group of people, but it cuts across everyone, young, old, where you're coming from. So I feel that power of imagery makes it more interesting. One of the things is that if you use images to teach, so I try make it simpler. Thinking about it, how can I share with my mom what wildlife conservation is?
Yeah,
they've actually invested in you to take you to school and stuff, but then they're like, why are you just moving around shooting birds and animals? What does that value give back to you? When you break it down and share with them and tell them, you know what, every single day you see birds in your compound, these birds have a purpose within that particular ecosystem. So imagine one day these birds do not exist. Just think about it. They're not there. It basically pushes you to the asking you, where did the bird go to? And that is the value of using images. Right now, I don't need to explain so much to my mom. It just knows that Tony's out there working, shooting birds or whatever he shoots, but it's wild animals, and he's enjoying it. That's fine. But and it's actually changed. Like even one of my aunts right now will always look forward on watching a documentary on a G or something, just because of the virtue that she knows that his son or nephew is working on things on that particular extent. So for me, those are things that make me happy, because if the people closer to me can relate with my passion and the love of wildlife, that for me is education. Like it's actually close by. Like it actually helps. So that is the beauty of just having things move. Yeah. And I know it's interesting. It builds that momentum of wanting to see more, and it's a challenge at the same time, because every single moment I'm like, how do I create an awesome image? Right now, I'm trying to balance between doing underwater and terrestrial photography, which is a new reel for me. Today in the morning, I was actually struggling to like balance my buoyancy. I'm actually at the pool right now. Just across the pool is here. So the whole day I've been struggling to balance my buoyancy, because I have all this huge equipment. I need to figure out how to go within underwater without really destroying the corals, but bring those amazing images back to society, and they see how beautiful the oceans are. So it's a challenge and also a beautiful process that I have to go through. And it's getting dark where I am, so I'm just going to try and move to where there's some bit of light. But you can take it all from where I've left.
No, I could jump in there. I think I had a lot. Yeah, I think I was thinking about this a lot recently, actually, because I went to see it was the Wildlife Photographer of the Year exhibition has just come to Edinburgh, and I saw it in London late last year, and it's that power of image. I think is sometimes like, we take photos so often now on our phones or whatever, but we sometimes forget that they can be used for more than just like, oh, here's a selfie of me in front of something interesting. Like I remember walking around that exhibition and thinking, like, this is environmental education, not because someone's sitting down and telling me, this is this animal, this is how it works, this is this plant, this is why it grows here, this is environmental education, because I am almost in tears in this gallery looking at an image that is so moving and so powerful and so like gets you thinking about the world and all these things. Like, it's amazing to think that, like, you know, like all of that can be done with, and it's simplifying it down because there's so many skills that are needed to take a good picture and so much to consider. But like, when you get that right image, the power of it is so incredible to change people's perspectives. And I guess I think the difference, I feel like, is you show, I tell. And so there's this difference, I guess, in like, even though we both use this technology and try and do things, I guess like, I try and do a similar thing, I suppose, where like, when you were talking a little bit about like, how can I show somebody like your mum, for example, like, what I do, the power of these things. And I guess that's the thing, is like, I try and do podcasts because I'm like, well, not everybody has access to nature. Not everybody is lucky enough to be able to grow up in a place where there's nature all around them. Not everyone is lucky enough to have a garden or a green space near them, or be able to visit a zoo or a botanic garden, or go on holidays to places. Like, not everyone has that. And so I think by having these things like photographs or podcasts that can be in people's ears or on people's screens or printed and put in a gallery near them, like, it opens that audience up more, you know. And I think it's something that's like really, really important, because kind of on that theme again that I mentioned earlier, the world of environmental education, conservation, nature only gets more powerful the more people who are involved and the more voices. And so I think that's the thing, is like, these things can be used to reach audiences that maybe don't usually get nature, or don't usually get the time to see nature or to appreciate nature. And I guess it's and just a different way of engaging people with something that, like, people like us who are probably spending a lot of our free time in nature don't always appreciate to the fullest extent. But then I guess something that I was going to ask about, because I think there's this that I wondered if you had opinions on, is to kind of do with technology and this engagement. And I sometimes struggle with podcasts and things. I want people to listen and I want people to listen and kind of engage with them. But I think there has to be this balance, I guess, sometimes between technology and listening in this way, but also engaging in real life. And I know I've had a lot of discussions recently about things like VR and conservation, or using video and I think that's really powerful, because obviously growing up I was so inspired by documentaries I saw and things were all produced using kind of these various methods. I wondered if you kind of had thoughts, because mine is kind of, I sit in a bedroom and record a podcast and that's what I do. Whereas you're kind of has to be more in the field. And I wondered if you had thoughts on striking that balance between technology and nature and that sort of thing. I don't know if that's too much of a question we don't have to deal with, because there's probably hours of answer. But yeah, what are any thoughts on that?
It's actually very interesting to look at how working with technology to influence behavior really works. Because right now, I'm actually trying to put together a paper to understand what positive image and negative image have an impact on audiences. Mm-hmm. Because yes, you can be producing images of wildlife and people in wildlife, but how does it really relate with people? How is the audience different? If you look at image right now, averagely there are more than 30 million images produced on Instagram in a day. But then how does an image stand out? What is a positive image for conservation? What is a negative image for conservation? But then the audience is different. Our audience here in Kenya specifically might not relate with an image of an elephant with someone taking care of an elephant. Mm-hmm. They probably relate with an image of a dead elephant or a spear. So just depending on just different aspect of what kind of image actually will inspire somebody to action. And action can vary either from a negative perspective or positive perspective. People have donated based on images, and images have that powerful aspect of fundraising and stuff. But then the question I keep asking myself, if these images are constantly being put in front of people who live together with wildlife, what does it really mean to them? Is it a natural stuff that happens to them? Because it's used for education purposes. But as an educator, I need to understand, does it really work? Or what are the better ways to actually be able to pass the information that environmental education of either protection of species or people involved in conservation is important. So it just varies from one space to another. Because there's an audience that be like, yes, we appreciate the work you do, but it's so interesting. And that there's an audience who we interact with them on a day-to-day basis. We're used to them. So why exactly are you showing me an image of an elephant? Well, I've already seen some. For instance, I was down south in Kenya. So there are two parts. There's a place called Lake Jipe and there's a place called Amboseli. Amboseli has frequent human-wildlife conflicts, human-elephant conflicts. But Lake Jipe, the communities have actually been able to just stay with the elephants like brothers, kinda. So when you share an image of what's happening in the lake with someone who's coming from this other side of the park, we'll be like, that's not true. People can't be that close with the elephant, they're just okay. Because the interaction with the elephant is different. So the power of an image really changes things. But then you have to really explain them moving forward. So technology makes a very clear role, but then it has a very, very big impact at the end of the day in terms of the way people will behave or even respond to those particular images. And even the process of creating images takes time because our eyes are trained to see. So you might be taking an image to show a particular occurrence of something special, but then somebody will see something totally different from that particular image, and definitely just learn through it. And if you look at the Nile itself has a lot of stories coming across from Egypt. But then if you send photographers through that particular ecosystem, they will bring lots of stories that can just not only educate policymakers or just the community themselves, but everyone as a whole on how important that ecosystem is. So technology has its power, and it has its power beyond just what you can imagine. But you, as a person using it or creating that information, you are at a point where you have an obligation to make sure it's honest, truthful, and represents what exactly of the values of what exactly it means to do environmental education as a whole. Because somebody will hold you accountable at some point and tell you whatever was taught about wildlife came from an environmental education club somewhere, and we have a role to play in that. So yeah, true. It has a lot to play about, but I feel we just have to be optimistic at the same time, just to make sure that everyone is learning more and getting that information based on the technologies we use, and even combining both. Because right now there are platforms like S3 story maps, where you can even combine images and audio files to just tell the whole story, and even motion pictures to tell the story. So again, depending on your audience, so depending on who you actually want to reach, you have to determine how to create that content. But I think I'm going to stop talking about what I love doing most because I'm getting too serious about it. But the thing is, I feel that people just need to appreciate the beauty of nature, and everybody has a responsibility. Yes, just beyond us as creatives in this particular space. Yeah, I don't know, but you can pick up from just all that I've shared right now. Yeah.
No, it was very interesting. I was like, you may not want to talk anymore and stop, but I was like, I have so many questions. I wish we were on my podcast now, because I would have probably 50 more questions that I would follow up with. But no, I totally get what you're saying, because it is this thing of, like, when I'm asking, like, of the process that I go through is kind of like, I will find guests and I will invite them to be on the show, and that has its own problems, because it's like, how do you find underappreciated stories or underappreciated animals or plants or whatever it is when they're underappreciated? So where are they? Like, who's talking about them already? So there's that element of kind of there, but then it's that thing when I'm writing questions and kind of I always try and write questions that are very open, because it's like that thing of like, I don't want to go into something and create something that is just Jack's view of the world. Like, that's not what I want. Like, there is an element of that, and there are stories that I will tell or fall back on when I'm talking to guests of like, oh, this is my experience. I've done environmental education at a zoo, and I've done environmental education at a botanic garden and in a nature space, and I live in Scotland. So there's these certain lenses through which I look at the world. To throw it back to cameras, there are certain lenses with which I look through the world. But I don't want those to be imposed on the person I'm talking to, because ultimately they're telling me their story. And I write questions to kind of keep us on track and make sure that I don't ask 100 too many quiet questions and like just throw us completely off track. But it's that finding that balance of like, yeah, this is the world and this is the magic of the world and this is what I want to present. But who are we presenting it for, and how do we present? There's so many questions that this raises, and I think it can be quite a challenge sometimes of like knowing knowing who you're speaking to, knowing what you're speaking about, trying to do all these things. But I guess the way I always approach it is like, as the non-expert and as the like, I try and put myself back in that like role as like, when I was a kid, what did I love, and what questions would little Jack have asked these people? Like, if this person like knows if all I knew was this person knows about the okapi, what would little Jack have asked them? Like, what would he have done? I'd like try and like reflect on that to be like, this is what he would have asked, this is what he would have done, and try and like, because when you go in with those eyes of wonder and just let somebody talk about whatever they want to talk about, I think you get a really good response. And so, yeah, I guess that's kind of how I try and, I don't know, produce these things that everybody can enjoy, which still have a message and a point. And like, but it's a balancing act and a hard thing to achieve, I guess. I guess, I don't know, something that I was going to ask about was kind of, I think like I talked at the start start about what's coming up next for me, and just looking at the time, I'm like, oh, we're moving a little bit towards, we've been here 40 minutes-ish now. I don't know if they're like thinking about it. What's like next for you? Like, what would your next thing be if you wanted to talk about like, what is your next project? What are you kind of working on? What can we inspire everybody who's been tuning in? I've seen like members of the 30 under 30 coming in and out of the chat and stuff. So like, yeah, what are you working on to kind of bring it back to that, I guess?
Interestingly, when you're talking about like what will Jack do, what will a younger Jack do, that is the space we are in right now. We are coming up with a puppet show for kids. So just to like talk about gibberish language, but have some information and story that goes around environmental education. So we've just partnered with one production company here in Kenya. So we're going to produce like an episode or so to just see how it runs through, but just to bring younger people closer to nature. But interestingly, if you look at the content, it's actually equalized to be adult content, because more adults watch puppet stuff way way more than even young people. So we try this balance stuff, because the life we live in right now is already stressful enough. So having a funny environmental puppet show, it just warms your heart and brings that. So that's what we're working on right now. And then I'm then venturing into underwater photography and across, not only just in Africa, but just doing different types of species. So I'm looking at hanging out with hammerhead sharks in Ghana, looking at doing some bit of whales in Kenya, turtles across. I'm just trying to figure out, how do I show the combination between the oceans and terrestrial land? There's so much beauty in it. But again, I have to bring out the childiness in me. Like, I have to just pull it out and just use it as an advantage. Because I get to live as a kid again, like reliving it again. But again, still owing to be able to not just connect with my audience, because most of my audience are young people, but then it actually spills into older people. Which is interesting, because they help because they have kids, so it's easier for them to refer the kids to actually to watch and follow up a couple of things. So that's pretty much what's new for me right now. But then it has the aspect of, how can I make it so simple, so simple, that anyone who's watching or listening can easily be able to comprehend that the environment is a key component of all the other things we do, politically, socially, financially. Like, it's all interlinked. But I'm just trying to figure out, how do we make it so like, how do I make everyone get that understanding that everything in nature is important. As much as we want to build amazing roads, amazing buildings, it's amazing to build them, but then how can we just pull back and say, just breathe and feel the beauty of nature without really having to destroy the beauty that we have so far? And that's where EE comes to play. And just a shout out to all the other EE guys doing amazing work across the continent, because it is not an easy task to be able, like, we are teachers the rest of our lives. That's the sign, the thing we've just done down there. We are teachers the rest of our lives. And that's a commitment for me. So I'll try as much as many medium form to just reach as many people moving forward. And for me, it's been fun with images, but I'm probably gonna go into the puppets and then also do a couple of live shows and comedy to see if actually that works. Yeah, but I don't think I'll be funny enough, but I'll figure it out at that particular moment.
I feel like, but there's stand-up comedy about everything else. I feel like there's got to be something there. There's got to be.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I'm currently living in Edinburgh. There's the Fringe Festival, and I've seen some wonderful, but also some terrible stand-up routines here that I've sat through. So, if you need some practice, I am a great audience member to sit there and nod politely and go, yeah, this is good. This is good. But no, that's fantastic. Like, And I really love like the focus on the oceans, because I think there's something about that, right? That link between the terrestrial and the ocean, and this kind of thing of like the things we experience every day become kind of normalized, right? We see certain birds, or we see certain creepy crawlies, or we see certain things every day, and so they become normalized, and then we don't appreciate them as much because we see them every day. They're kind of,
Yeah.
and so there's that challenge there. But then also, I love this, like, when focusing on the oceans, I think sometimes that's far away. That's removed from people's mind. That's somewhere dark and scary and strange, and people don't necessarily know a lot about it because they don't experience it and they don't know how wonderful and beautiful things are. And I think being able to capture that in photographs, if they're anything like the rest of the photographs I've seen you capture, will be fantastic. And so, like, being able to use those, like, to inspire people about this thing that's more unknown to them, I think is also like really, really interesting. And also puppets. I'm like, I cannot wait to see how this all comes together. I need to see a video recording of the puppet show. I want to see the whole thing. That's fantastic. Like,
Yeah.
so inspirational. Amazing, amazing.
We did a live event in one of the pitches in last year, and trust me, the crowd was on fire. Like, it was, I'd never gone on stage like really talking about stuff, but it was easier for me to really break down a story about turtles and plastic, just using the puppet and just the bit of science in it, and bring, and even calling out names in the audience, just to make people feel like they're part of the whole story. So it's pretty much interesting, and I think it's something that probably it might come online at some point, just to bring in other more people to just enjoy the beauty of learning about what environmental aspects have so far. So yeah, but it's fun. Let me just say it's fun. Yeah, and bringing oceans closer. Oceans are peaceful. They look so rough, like more of like a washing machine from the top. But once you're down there, it's calm, and you're able to control your breath, your breathing and stuff. It's beautiful. It's just amazing. The corals, the fishes, and if you dive at a nice site, you'll see the beauty. But when you go to where corals is degraded and stuff, it makes you question what exactly do we need to do. And it's so beautiful when you see a turtle with a tag that is monitoring its movement and stuff. You appreciate the science in it, and that's what education comes into play, like sharing that there's so much science that comes out of just understanding these amazing species as turtles. And trust me, we can talk about the ocean the whole night, but most importantly is that I have to just echo all the environmental education professionals, practitioners, those who have no idea that you're doing EE, that they're awesome and they're amazing, and they need to keep doing it every single moment. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's so important, and I guess that's a good. I mean, something that I can relate to there, I think, is I recently, like, I put up if anyone watching wants to read the whole thing that I put up on my Instagram the other day, you are more than welcome to. You can go and have a look. But I recently had this moment, right, where, like, I'd made something like 70 episodes of the podcast, and I felt like, and I think we have this all the time, these moments of like, oh, okay, like, I've done a lot now, I'm tired, I'm like, I don't know what else to do. And we have these moments of kind of like needing a break and to step back and go, why are we doing what we do, and what are we doing? And I think, and only recently, I think, I kind of realized in talking to friends and family, and them kind of being like, and colleagues and people being like, I want to be on the show, I want to do this, or like, when is the next one coming, or when is this thing happening, or what's going to be going on? Like, I'm going to shout her out because she'll cringe if she knows. My mum has just commented. Thank you very much. There we go. She came in just at the right moment for me to say that I love my family.
Yes, Mum.
But like, and I had this moment of like, do I want to be doing this anymore? Like, what am I doing? And I think, like, I've had recent experiences with like going away at the start of the year with my family, and we went to Loch Lomond and seeing like the beauty of nature there, and like going back and spending time with, like, I work at the zoo part time and seeing Edinburgh Zoo part time, so seeing these kids with more knowledge and enthusiasm than I think I'll ever have in my brain, and seeing these people and like going. I went birding with a friend recently, and he was like so amazed by these little strange birds that like I was like, and like all these things, I feel re-inspired, and I feel really like I was reminded about why I do this, and I think that's so important, is like remembering these like moments of like joy and why you did it in the first place and the magic that's out there. And when you remember the magic that's out there, you then go, oh, well, another 50 podcasts, on we go, like another like piece of artwork or another photograph or another Google search of something that you're interested in, or another conversation with a family member, and you keep going. And like, I think it's such an important like thing to do, is like always try and remember these, like, the wonder is still out there, and the weird things are still out there, and the magical things are still out there. And just, yeah, but take time to rest and remember that, so you don't burn yourself out, I think is so important.
Yeah, and I think when you get your why, I know it takes like so many people to get their why in life, but when you get your why on whatever you're doing, I think everything just falls in place. And it's I know it's not that easy to get your why. It has a lot of questions that comes to it. But the beauty is that if you see someone who has their why figured out, just help them out. You let them grow to that particular extent. And young people need the best of who we are as a society right now, to see the beauty of what exactly nature is. Because as much as we say young people will come forward and protect nature, we at the moment are responsible. So by the time they get a hint on what environmental education is or what wildlife conservation is, they already have a view of what exactly needs to be protected. And I miss those sessions where the round tables we used to have about stories across, just to build up and share this information. So environmental education does not only end in a class or in the park. It goes to our dining tables, it goes to our spaces, it goes to our bars, and it just keeps on pushing and pushing and pushing. So it's just bring beauty at any particular point, because nature is beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, it's such a, you know that way where someone said something really inspiring, and I wish I was in the audience now so I could just sit and reflect on your thought for a second, and now I'm like, hang on, no, I need to respond. But no, like, you're exactly right. And I can see the ring has appeared of loading. We'll see if Anthony is still there. Let's see. We'll see if he comes back, Nina. But if not, I think we're getting kind of, I guess, close to the end of our time. So I don't know, while we're waiting. Oh no. Well, I guess like what might be nice, it's just to wrap it up, I guess, is I'm here by myself now. This is a problem. I'm going to plug something for me, if you don't mind, Nina. And then I guess if
Go for it.
Back, we can plug his projects. But like, yeah, I've just been working away on the next season of Pangolin, the conservation podcast, at Pangolin Podcast on all social media platforms if you want to give us a follow, or on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast from, we're there. And the first episode actually came out on Monday with Ray Landrio, who was a member of the Under 30 a few years ago, same year as me, and we talked about her kind of colouring book, which has just come out, which is incredible and wonderful. And you should go and follow Create Change Collective, which is her kind of brand, if you don't already, because that's fabulous and wonderful. And go and listen to her talk on the podcast. Next week, we have a brilliant speaker, Jasmine Issa Qureshi, coming on to talk about their experiences with kind of invertebrates and bees, and also the importance of diversity in the conservation space. So all sorts of really like amazing things coming up there. And we're always looking for new guests. So if anyone is listening and thinking, oh, I want to share my story or talk about what I do, or even just talk about podcasting, I'm always happy to kind of talk about it, because that's all that I do, is talk. But also listen, obviously listen, when I have a guest on. And so, yeah, if you want to reach out with any of that sort of stuff, yeah, I am at the only Jack Baker on here, or at Pangolin Podcast. And yeah, I guess that's my plug for my things that are coming up. Anthony, you're back just in time. We were just kind of wrapping up, I guess. Is there anything you want to plug as something that people should go and look at?
No, I just found where the switch was, and I'm figuring out things, and the internet is back, so that's pretty much. But then I think for me, just to get a feel of working with a team, because when Tony Wild was starting, I was the individual working behind the scenes, but then right now it's a team, and with the team brings so much joy. And if you want to see more of our work, head out to Tony Wild Foundation website or the Instagram page. You'll see we're actually working towards training more other young people to be able to hold a camera, own a camera, and actually create images that talk about nature within their own spaces. And this is something that is close to my heart, in the sense that it took me almost 20-something plus years to even be able to hold my first camera. So I can imagine if a younger person gets a hold of their camera at the age of, let's say, 12 and below, and you look at the wildlife photographer of the year, there are young people participating, but then how many are able to actually be able to afford to be part of that particular community and space? So we have a long way to go, and that's where beauty is. For me personally, is just getting into underwater stuff, and that's what I'm really pushing for at the moment, and just to get to bring the oceans closer to, and not only oceans, also rivers and lakes, because there's so much beauty that is within these water areas that has not really been shared continuously. As an important component of EE. But then again, for those who are watching, it's when you identify young people who are actually doing an amazing work on environmental education, it's good to actually nominate them, throw their name around places, and that's what NAAEE does, especially now that they have the call for the 30 under 30. It just amplifies, because it has really helped me not only learn more about how to approach EE, but they have a lot of resources that you can actually build up in, from watershed education programs, from climate change activism, and how to actually be able to use that to amplify a voice. But most importantly is the science bit. You can be able to know how do you measure your environmental education projects and research. So joining such spaces really helps. And as an EE 30 under 30 EE fellow, it really adds value. And if you're on the call and you know someone who's younger, who really deserves to be part of that community, I feel just head out to the Instagram page for the NAAEE and just have a click and look at what they actually do. And I feel for me that I owe it to just being in a community, and not only environmental education communities, but the photography community, the film community that I'm actually part of, bird ornithology and birds community, the science community. So that is where you get information as an educator, and you can able to make it simpler for another group of people you're meeting to share with. So it's all about putting together the puzzle, but then having a North Star that actually be able to protect, preserve, and conserve the environment. So I think that's for me, that is what stands out the most. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the most important piece of advice is tell them all to buy chunky glasses and wear green clothes. If it's judged by the three of us, that's the most important thing to get into environmental education. Like, all you need.
Yeah, exactly. That's the message of this whole this whole hour that we've been together, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I'm just gonna hand it back to. I'm just gonna hand it back to. Sorry, to Nina, and then we can just call it a wrap. But this has been so amazing just to be able to just talk from different worlds, but same stuff and same stories to tell. Yeah. And
Yeah.
say thank
Well,
you to
thank
Mama.
you.
Yeah. There she is again. My biggest fan. I
Jack's
feel like...
mom. I fully agree with Jack's mom here, and I'm sorry I don't know your name, Jack's mom.
It's
I'm just gonna keep calling you
Fiona.
Fiona, and everyone else who's on here, and anyone who's going to be watching the recording. We're going to be putting this on our account. Tony did the plug that I was going to do for EE30 under 30. Go check out our Instagram account. It has our website, all of the information there. And as you said, if you know someone who deserves that recognition, who's doing amazing things, maybe they're not quite feeling confident enough to, put themselves out there, give them that nudge. You can nominate them. And it's just, you all are doing such incredible work. And thank you again, Jack and Tony, for hanging out with us for our first live. It was such a great conversation. Yeah, I'll close it out. I'm going to figure out how to download this, save this. Thank you both so much. And thank you everyone for joining.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Jack.
No, thank you so much, Anthony. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Too much love.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.